The household hummed with the quiet efficiency of morning routines. Marcus stood in the kitchen, watching steam curl from his coffee mug while the first rays of sunlight filtered through the window. The apartment was modest by Earth standards. Nothing spectacular, just a standard residential unit in the orbital station that hung above the colony world of New Haven. Behind him, soft footsteps approached. Lyra entered the kitchen, her lavender skin catching the light in ways that still fascinated him after 6 months of her employment. She was Velani, one of the graceful species from the Andromeda sector, who had sought refuge among human colonies after their homeworld fell to economic collapse. "Good morning," she said, her voice carrying that melodic quality her people possessed. "Shall I prepare breakfast?" "Already done," Marcus replied, gesturing to the table where he had laid out toast and fruit. "Sit with me." She hesitated, as she always did. The Velani had a strong cultural tradition of service, of finding purpose in caring for others. When the human expansion had reached their struggling worlds, many had taken positions as domestic workers, grateful for the stability and fair treatment humans offered. Unlike the corporate entities that had exploited their economy, humans paid well and treated them as equals despite the employment relationship. "Please," Marcus added. "I insist." Lyra settled into the chair across from him, folding her long fingers together. Her large eyes, the color of amber, watched him carefully. She had learned to read human expressions well, better than many of her kind. "You wished to discuss something," she said. It was not a question. Marcus nodded. "Last night, the translation work we did together. I wanted to ask if you would help me again tonight." Her eyes widened, a flash of what he recognized as excitement crossing her features. "You wish to continue?" "If you are willing." The previous evening had been unexpected. Marcus worked as a xenolinguist, specializing in the preservation of endangered alien languages. He had brought home a data drive containing fragments of ancient Valane poetry, texts that predated the collapse of their civilization by centuries. When Lyra had seen the documents on his screen, she had frozen, tears gathering in her eyes. "These are the lost verses," she had whispered. "The teaching songs of my grandmother's grandmother. I thought they were gone forever." What followed was hours of collaboration. Marcus would display a fragment, and Lyra would speak the words. Aloud, her voice transforming the dead text into living sound. She explained meanings, contexts, the subtle emotional layers that no translation algorithm could capture. Together, they had reconstructed 7 complete poems, filling gaps with her cultural knowledge and his linguistic expertise. For Marcus, it was professional triumph. For Lyra, it was the reclamation of her heritage. "I would be honored," she said quietly. "But Marcus, I must tell you something. Among my people, such work is sacred. To restore the lost words, to speak the ancestor verses again. It is not a task for servants." "You are not my servant," Marcus said firmly. "You never were. You are my employee. Yes, but more than that, you are someone living under my roof. And last night, you were my colleague, my partner in something important." Lyra's fingers trembled slightly. "Your people are strange, kind but strange. When I came to this station, I expected to scrub floors and wash clothing. Instead, you have given me a room with a window view. You share meals with me. You ask my opinions on matters beyond housework. And now this, entrusting me with the heart of your research. Is it so unusual to treat people with respect?" "For my people, it has been." Her voice carried centuries of hurt. "The traders who came to our world, they saw only cheap labor. They gutted our economy, destroyed our manufacturing, then offered us jobs cleaning their facilities for a fraction of what they had once paid us to build starships. When humans arrived, we expected more of the same." Marcus sipped his coffee, letting her words settle between them. He had read the histories, knew the predatory practices that had devastated dozens of species before humanity had established its reputation as fair dealers. It was one reason the Terran Council had strict regulations about employment and treatment of alien workers. "I cannot speak for all humans," he said finally, "but I can tell you what I believe. Every person, every being with thoughts and feelings, deserves dignity. You are skilled, intelligent, and your knowledge is invaluable. Last night proved that. The academic community will want to publish our findings, and your name will be on that paper as co-author." "Co-author," she repeated, testing the word. "I would be recognized as a scholar?" "You are a scholar. You hold knowledge I could never possess, no matter how many degrees I earn. The question is whether you want to continue this work, not as my maid, but as my research partner." Lyra stood abruptly, walking to the window. Below, the colony world turned slowly, green and blue, and alive with possibility. On my homeworld, I was trained as a historian. When the collapse came, such luxuries as history became meaningless. We needed food, shelter, survival. I took this position because it offered stability. I never imagined I would practice my true calling again. "Then practice it now," Marcus said. "I have 3 more data drives, hundreds of fragments. Songs, stories, historical records. All Villani, all in need of someone who can breathe life back into them." She turned to face him, and he saw something shift in her expression. The careful deference, the practiced servant's mask, fell away. What remained was fierce intelligence and burning purpose. "Yes," she said. "Tonight and every night you need me. We will restore what was lost. We will make the ancestors sing again." The day passed in anticipation. Marcus handled his regular work, cataloging linguistic samples from a dozen different species. Lyra maintained the apartment, but he noticed the change in her movements. She carried herself differently, head higher, steps more purposeful. She was preparing herself for the work ahead. When evening came, they cleared the dining table and set up the workspace. Marcus arranged his screens and keyboards while Lyra brought out the traditional ceremonial tea her people drank before important undertakings. The amber liquid steamed between them. "To lost words found," Marcus said, raising his cup. "To voices carried forward," Lyra replied. They drank, and then the work began. The first fragment was a creation myth, describing how the Villani believed their world had been sung into existence by the 3 voices. Lyra closed her eyes as she read, her voice rising and falling in patterns that seemed to echo beyond mere words. Marcus recorded everything, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he transcribed and annotated. Hours disappeared. They worked in perfect synchronization, Marcus providing the technical framework while Lyra supplied the cultural soul. When they finished the 8th poem, Lyra leaned back in her chair, exhausted but radiant. "Do you understand now?" she asked. "Why I asked if we could do this again?" "I think so," Marcus said. "This is not just academic work for you. It is resurrection," she said softly. "Every word we restore is a piece of my people returned from death. Every poem is a door opening to who we were before the fall. You have given me back something I thought lost forever." Marcus felt the weight of that responsibility, the profound trust she was placing in him. "Then we will continue," he said, "for as long as it takes, years if necessary." "And my other duties?" she asked, a hint of amusement in her voice. "Shall I simply abandon the housework?" "We will hire someone else for that," Marcus said. "Your real work is here, with me, with these texts. If you agree, I will speak to the university tomorrow. There are grants available for cultural preservation projects. We can make this official." Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled, an expression of such pure joy that Marcus felt his own heart lift in response. "Can we do it again tomorrow night?" she asked. "And the night after? Please?" "Every night," Marcus promised, "until every fragment is restored." until your ancestors sing again through both of us." She reached across the table, her long fingers closing gently around his hand. It was the first time she had initiated such contact, a gesture that spoke of trust and partnership rather than the careful distance she had maintained before. "Thank you," she said, "for seeing me, for hearing me, for understanding that what humans call service, we Valani might call purpose, but only when it is given freely, respected truly, and honored completely." Marcus squeezed her hand gently. "Tomorrow, we start on the historical chronicles. I suspect those will be even more challenging." Lyra laughed, a sound like distant chimes. "Then we will need more tea and stronger coffee. But yes, tomorrow. Tonight, though, let us celebrate what we have already accomplished." They spent the remaining evening not working, but talking, sharing stories of their peoples, building the friendship that would sustain them through the long project ahead. Outside the window, the stars wheeled slowly overhead, infinite and patient, bearing witness to one small collaboration that bridged worlds and restored what had been nearly lost forever.